12,000 UFO sightings reported around the world every month. 90% of these sightings can be explained, but 10% cannot. Officially and unofficially, the U.S. military has been investigating UFOs since 1947. Their top secret goal is to find out what's behind these unexplained sightings. The Pentagon classifies them as unusual airborne anomalies, but a better term is X-Files. Join us as we explore these unsolved cases, UFO incidents that baffle even the U.S. military. This is Mack Maloney's Military X-Files. And now, here's Mack Maloney.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Mack Maloney's Military X-Files show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. This is Mack Maloney. We have a very unusual show for you tonight, but there's been a change in the posse. Apparently, one of our posse members, the very famous Juan-Juan, is MIA, missing in action. Actually, we know where he is. We just can't contact him. So, sitting in his chair, his virtual chair, moving up in the batting order. They call him Coco on the streets. You know him, you love him as Commander Cobra.
Good evening, Mac. I just like to clarify just a teensy tiny bit. I believe actually I had the chair before you brought Juan-Juan swoop into the show.
Really?
Yes. In fact, we can look at that contractually anytime that you would like.
Okay. All right. What's the matter? What's your lawyer want to go away for Thanksgiving? Is that?
Yeah, that's
demo here.
That's
okay. All right. Anytime, brother. Anytime, Chelsea.
Okay.
You know who wins those fights?
Yeah. In the dream world.
Oh.
At any rate,
man.
It's wonderful to be here. I don't have any kind of sports regalia on, and I understand that there's not a lot of choice to celebrate. But I did hear that Juan-Juan's hero may have been injured.
No, wait. Don't scare me. People in the future.
Or the
Patriots. The Patriots won, and Brady is at the tip top of shape. Why?
Oh, okay. I guess I misheard.
What are you spending?
Maybe I could be remote viewing something here that I don't understand. That's okay.
No, you're not spreading disinformation there, my friend. You're one of these people.
I understand.
You know?
Sorry. I shouldn't talk about subjects I have no real grounding in.
What's going to happen to poor Juan-Juan when he hears this?
Well, maybe he'll get on and he'll come off his high horse and he'll join us.
Yeah, that TB12 might be hurt, and that Giselle is suddenly available. I think this is,
You think that's part of it?
I think that's the end of the rainbow for him. Yes. But hey, who knows? He's not here, but hopefully he'll be joining us later on, maybe on the phone. I think there might be some issues with Skype tonight. So, if it's you still have time, sell your shares out there, people. So we're going to hopefully talk to Steve the Hammonds. Hasn't been on the show in a while. He's the remote viewing expert we have on every once in a while. Always a very interesting chat with him. We're going to be talking to Rob Beckhausen of War is Boring, talking about the difference. We got a fan letter the other day. Actually, thank you for all the fan letters. We're getting so many, we're going to have to bring someone on to handle the fan mail. And you know what the strange thing about a Cobra is?
And that is what? I usually handle most of your fan mail, but
90% of what comes to our address, my email address, okay?
Right.
90% are for Juan-Juan. And
doesn't surprise me.
And 50% of them are from women or people who are posing as women. So we're going to have someone, and actually we're hiring a head of security for the show. Hopefully we'll introduce them next week. One of their jobs will be go through the fan mail and make sure there's no, let's say, white powder in there, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think there's a much more classy way to indicate what you're trying to say there. But we do know that you have, in your writing past, you postulated a very interesting theory about the writing power that got you visits from the FBI because you were so interesting on your conclusions. So once again, I believe...
What was that big word you used?
I don't
Postulate?
know. Yeah, you postulated what was going on when we had the scare of anthrax. Yeah. I remember that was posted on your website. This predates the show.
Yes.
And then because of it, you had some folks come and talk to you.
Oh, yeah. Well, it gave me a lesson in the FBI. The thumbnail is that they really don't know, or they didn't know then what they were doing. It's as simple as that, because
so
they called me.
We've hammered Skype and the FBI tonight.
Yeah,
Good.
right.
Yeah, things ought to go
You know
really
what?
well.
We might have to kill some time. Let me tell the story real quick. Do you think that'd be interesting to the audience?
It's a very, very interesting one. Yes, I do.
Where I lived, I just happened to live next door to the gentleman who owned the second largest safe box company in the country. Now, safe boxes are, if you can imagine an aquarium with two rubber gloves sticking through the window. Whoa, here's the FBI calling right now.
You're right there. Stop talking. Hold that story.
Okay. And these things go for about $30,000 a piece. I don't know why, because it's literally an aquarium with two gloved hands in it. And what happens is you put hazardous materials in there, and the researcher can kind of open them up without threat to his safety. Once again, my neighbor happened to own the second largest one in the United States. So after 9/11, people were getting sent anthrax in the mail. And there were scrolls down the bottom of Fox News, CNN, if you see anything, report to the FBI, so on and so forth. And so I said to my neighbor one night, let's say, on his boat, I said, you know what? It seems like if the anthrax bomber, if the anthrax person who was sending anthrax to, I think he sent to people at the National Enquirer and different senators and stuff.
Yep.
Did he kill a couple of people? Did he kill a mailman?
I know some people got infected. I think a mailman did die on that.
Yeah. So I said to my neighbor, I said, look, at some point he must have a safe box, and he must have bought it from you or your number one competitor, who happens to be his son, who has a factory right across the street from the old man, right? So I says, this guy must have bought so go back in your records, call the FBI, go back in your records, see who bought safe boxes, recently, and you might have your guy, right? I mean, is that 77 Sunset Strip?
I remember when I've read about it first, because you and I were not, I wasn't able to talk to you directly. I was reading stuff that you had posted on the website.
Yes.
And we were sending emails back and forth. And I remember that you kind of had an abrupt email back to me. I can't talk about it right now.
Right,
and then when I got in and I called you, and you told me about the FBI visit and the whole thing. And I thought like I said, what you had theorized, what you had postulated was you would hope to done. My best guess is you probably embarrassed some people, because you took a very, what I call a yellow pages kind of view to it. You went there and you said, okay, look up anthrax people under A's, and then start working from there. So
okay, I just got a text from Switch. He cannot get into Skype either. So there's a Skype.
There is definitely something afoot tonight.
Okay. All right. So let me finish this story, okay? So he says, my neighbor says, okay, let's do it. Now, I got to be completely honest about it. There's a mercenary reason involved, because there was a substantial, reward.
Right.
To catch this dude, right? So
that.
we called the FBI. I got the number from, I don't know if it was X or who it was, but anyone, anyway, I called the FBI.
For our new listeners, X refers to Agent X.
Agent X, right. And anyway, I talked to someone, and they actually, I left, they asked my name and stuff, and they said, we'll have someone call you back. So, like 2 days later, I'm sitting by the phone, for the next 12 hours, right? 2 days later, the guy calls me up. I understand you have some information on the anthrax letter mailer. Oh, wow. Now, here's my friend, the anthrax letter mailer, calling me. Hang on. This will be...
We're getting reports. Yes, I'm getting reports. I just looked it up. Skype is getting massive reports of inability to connect calls. Wow. I guess we're very fortunate that I wonder if we're like a select group that's being examined.
That could be.
And everyone else is being isolated from us.
All right. Can I finish my story there, Coach? Sure. So anyway, this guy interviews me for, let's say, about a half hour. And I go through the whole story with him. I tell him the story just as like I told you. He said, okay, someone will call you back. So 2 more weeks go by. Again, I think these people are going to be bada bing, right? Another guy calls, and he says, I understand you have information about the anthrax killer. I says, yeah, but I told your friend 2 weeks ago. Well, tell me again. Okay. Well, make a really long story short, that happened 5 times over the next 3 months. Some different agent would call me every time. It's usually 8 o'clock at night. And he would say, I understand you have information, evidence, on the anthrax kill case. I had to start at square one with all 5 of them. Okay. Meanwhile, my neighbor is going freaking nuts because now that he is a little more sober, he's realizing he don't want the FBI in his operation. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that we might have to cut some of this out, but I'm not saying anything illegal is going on. But who wants the FBI to be in your underpants? You know what I mean?
You're right.
Okay, and to make it the drama even better, his son across the street, his relative across the street, now has the FBI calling him up. And he doesn't want them in there either. So this is, they say, like they say in the military, a real cluster foul-up. Okay. And that's how they left it. They came to each one. They stayed a total in both of them, maybe about 20 minutes, 25 minutes or so. Then they left, never heard from them again.
And the case was never solved officially.
We're going to have to edit some of those out, by the way. But yeah. Well, the case was solved. Remember, they found that guy, and he was doing it. He was mixing it in a pond. He would bring the stuff down, and he was mixing it in an airtight case underwater.
Yeah, and you've never heard the counter theories about how that explanation.
Well, I don't know. Didn't they arrest the guy for it?
Oh yeah, they arrested him. But it's turned into, like Lee Harvey Oswald. There's all kinds of counterclaims that if he had done what he had done, the powder would not have been functional. That he didn't have the airtight, the containers. How could he have seen what he was doing? How could he have the accuracy? How it would not be on the outside? Because what really freaked a lot of people out was it was not being detected externally. There's ways to detect it when they started to look for it. At least that's what they claim. So
yeah, wow.
I think that just showed how absolutely nasty that particular little case is. If everyone decides to get into it, case in point, we always fall back on this. Let's talk about our favorite place out there in Utah. Dugway Proving Grounds, right? Does a lot of chemical and biological work. What did they do 2 years ago?
They mailed out anthrax by Federal Express, didn't they?
And where was one of the places that it went?
Didn't it go to Cuba or something?
Well, no, the Cuba was the missile.
Cuba was the missile, right?
Remember that missile that got missing from the show in Paris and it ended up in Cuba, and the Cubans were slow to give it back?
Yeah.
South Korea.
It's a little, you're going to South Korea?
Yeah, South Korea. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Nice.
The usual suspects. We keep going back to the same places.
Wow. Well, hey, you never know what's going on behind the scenes. You know what I mean?
So what do we have cooking here, boss?
Okay, so we're going to take a commercial break now. We're going to see if we can personally get Skype up and running again. And then we'll be back with some fascinating segment.
We'll have to call some favors in, I bet.
How's that? Yeah. So you're listening to Mack Maloney's Military X-Files show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. We'll be right back after this.
UFOs are found in Renaissance art, on ancient coins, and etched on cave walls. They are even reported in the Bible. But more surprising is when UFOs are seen the most, in times of war. Through centuries, thousands of UFO sightings have been made by high-ranking officials, military pilots, and ordinary soldiers. Often, these fantastic appearances occur at the height of great battles. From World War I to D-Day, to Korea, Vietnam, and beyond, military investigators are baffled. Why do UFO sightings spike so drastically during wartime? Could it be mistaken aircraft, or is someone, or something, looking in on us? In UFOs in Wartime, What They Didn't Want You to Know, Mack Maloney chronicles centuries of these incredible sightings and tries to solve the puzzle of why so many UFOs are seen while humanity is at war. Read about the scare ships, the ghost planes, and the ghost rockets, alien giants in the jungles of Vietnam, UFOs controlling our ICBM bases, dogfights with flying saucers during the Gulf War, and more. 300 pages of unbelievable stories, along with many startling photographs. That's UFOs in Wartime, What They Didn't Want You to Know, by Mack Maloney, On sale at your local bookstore or on Amazon.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to Mack Maloney's Military Style Show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. Hey, this is Mack Maloney, and it's the night of the enormous Skype blackout. Yeah, this is like, the War of the Worlds. As we sit here and speak, apparently a lot of the Skype network has been, I don't know, who knows? It's disappeared.
Selected. It seems that it's selective in its nature for targets that are being affected, Mac.
Who's that talking? Who's that voice in my... Oh, it's Commander Cobra. Coco is here. Somehow you and I managed to get on Skype there, my friend. I wonder what
I know. It's our symbiotic relationship.
Hang on. It's symbiotic. This happens to be... Word of the night.
At least that's still working.
The Symbionese Liberation Army.
Patty Hearst.
Patty Hearst. Yep. She was worth back then, about 40 million, maybe 45 million bucks. And her boyfriend at the time, and he was there when the Symbionese Liberation Army kidnapped her. His name was Stephen Weed. And whatever college they went to, the word was, get your weed from weed.
They didn't marry, right? They went their separate ways.
No, she dumped them as soon as, she was, she had been to other worlds, if you know what I mean. Those characters. There's no going back, as they say. Anyway, completely inappropriate. Okay, so listen. So now that the Skype network has been sabotaged or something, Cobra, you finally have your chance to shine on the show.
Finally. Excellent.
Okay. All right. Well, we're turning this into a Cobra special. All right. Not that every time you join us isn't special, but this is very extra.
Oh, when I'm the
special.
only person, I'm the most special person in the room.
Well,
I got it. No, I understand.
Remember those shows back in the 60s, 70s? ABC used to put them on. There was like so many specials in the name of the title. It was like a very special. You know what I mean? And they'd have all the people from laughing. And is that too old a reference for you?
No, sir, it's not.
Okay.
Goldie Hawn,
Anyway.
I remember very much. Rowan and Martin's laughing.
All right. Yeah. Okay. You know that Dan Rowan, the guy with the mustache, right? The straight man of the two.
Right.
Married the other guy's daughter. Whoa, here he is calling me. I told you. Anyway, very funny show when you look back at it, okay? Okay, had two very obscene questions have just come in for me to ask you later on, but let's just do this segment. There's a bunch of questions I've always wanted to ask you and also our regular correspondence. I'm going to set up a scenario for you, okay?
Okay.
You can noodle this during the ad if you want.
All right.
There we go, all right? It's 1947. You're part of a secret operation within the U.S. Air Force to send high-altitude balloons with audio detectors on them from the desert of New Mexico to go up to the high-speed winds up at around 60, 70,000 feet to fly eastward over the Soviet Union and tried to pick up acoustic signals that the Soviets are detonating atomic weapons. Okay. Now, you put together this particular balloon. The balloon itself is very elaborate. In fact, it's made by General Mills, the people who make Cheerios, but I digress. Okay. But to get it into the air, just into the air, you have to attach a kite to the bottom of it just to get it up off the ground. And so you make this kite out of pieces of balsa wood that you have bought or that you have found in the trash, and also pieces of paper to stabilize it that you've also found in the trash that has a lot of this and kind of scribbles and numbers on them. Okay, one of these balloons goes wrong. It falls to the ground. People find it. It's in pieces because it came down pretty hard, but they find pieces of the balsa wood, and a piece of the balsa wood have, let's say, hieroglyphics on them, and the paper that they find has lots of numbers and alphanumeric stuff on it.
Only AT&T offers unlimited data with HBO included. And you never pay overages. Plus, get DirecTV Now for only $10 a month. It's entertainment your way. After 22 gigabytes of data usage, AT&T may slow speeds. Plan includes Stream Saver and videos will stream in standard definition unless you turn it off. Credits start within 3 bill cycles. $10 price based on $35 Live a Little package minus $25 credit. Service prices subject to change. Other usage, speed, and restrictions apply. Visit your nearest AT&T store.
Okay. Do you believe that that's a rational end to the beginning of the story? In other words, do you believe the weather balloon, not the weather balloon, but the spy balloon that I described to you could possibly crash and people would find this debris and think something different of it?
I think it has a reasonable level of intrigue there and mixed in facts that were true, that are true, I should say, that you could confuse this to be something that other than what it's been attributed to be. Obviously, this is the basis of the Roswell explanation that was put out by the government to explain what people had found. And some of the materials that are being asked for in the question, and the combination of adding things like balsa wood and then basically adding other materials to it, plastics and other things that were put into it. I've seen over the years a number of explanations and quote unquote proof of why this kind of writing was on there. Some of it they had used basically from toy manufacturers.
Florist. It was a florist, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a large number of different sources for this. So on the basis, would we use materials like this for something as daunting as putting balloons over the top of the then Soviet Union to have listening devices to transmit back? Yes, we would have tried all manner of things. And that's 1947 is a very short distance out of World War II. World War II, you had the most advanced jets and technology on one end, and you had people attaching small incendiary devices to bats and dropping them over areas to go do that. So all manner of activity was still going at full tilt. Also, the OSS was disbanded. The CIA came on. So there was a huge gap in there that I think anyone that had – I mean, the CIA has used people that do dowsing. They use remote viewing. So there's a whole multitude of things that would go on there. We hadn't really officially accepted the position of being in the atomic age. That's really considered the 50s.
It's an interesting, turn of events. You know what I mean? Interesting turnover.
And I think there was such euphoria in some areas. And we go through this, like, I think about every 40 years. We believe that the last war has been fought, peace dividends, all the things that go on. We think it's all going to be better than it was.
Kumbaya,
and then something else will come up and happen, and you find out that's going on.
You know why? Well, here's our vice president telling us why. You know why? Because people don't change.
Right.
You know what I mean? People don't change. There's always going to be someone out there, no matter how moral and that we are, okay? No matter how long we stick to these American principles, just doing the right thing, helping your neighbor, helping your fellow citizen, I mean, there's no country in the world that responds like this country when there's a flood somewhere, when there's a tornado somewhere, right? They don't go through this, like we do. They pour in aid. People go down there. They walk to the disaster site to help, okay? These are the things that, you want to hang on to. But it's the politicians that screw it up for everybody because they don't have the same kind of makeup that we do.
I think they detach from reality. I mean, when you you haven't worked for what you're doing and your whole goal is to continually gather power, I don't care what political ilk you have.
It has nothing to do with politics because both sides are in it.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
A lot of politicians are basically failed lawyers, okay? If you can't make a living as a lawyer these days, then, you should be doing something else, okay? You shouldn't be a politician. But that's the type of person that it attracts. You know,
Well,
I mean, that's just the type of person to try.
I think a knowledge of the law allows you to have a certain dodge, that you know certain maneuvers, certain procedural things that allow you to control a lot more than you have, or that you should have at your bailiwick. So that's a long distance off this question from the balloon. I think it is a possibility. I still think that there's still a great deal of uncertainty the way that was handled. Right. And explained, that it looks like the early or the continued disinformation by saying it was something else. The materials and how they acted and those kinds of things.
Right. Here's the very strange thing about it, and then we're going to go to a commercial, okay, is that when I did my book, UFOs in Wartime, it's still available as bookstores everywhere.
And it's a great book.
There's a chapter in there, and what it's devoted to is that flying saucers, UFOs, interfering with our ICBM silos bases, okay? In the 60s and the 70s, we built a lot of these things. North Dakota, South Dakota, Colorado, Kansas, all the way down to Texas and New Mexico. They would build these silos miles from each other. They would put an ICBM into the ground. It would be impossible to find them all. And these ICBMs at the time, I'm going to think, they were MIRVs. So did they have like four or five?
In the beginning they weren't, and that's the reason why you had so many that spread out in the numbers.
Right, they only had a single warhead.
Right, that you would have enough time to get at least some of them off before you would have impacts. Then when the MIRV came, that's why we lowered a number of silos, and it changed a lot of it, because now you're assuring each other that you're not going to go after the missiles, you're going to go after the power centers, the cities and the population centers, because now you have one and it can shoot off a number of different heads.
MIRV, oh boy, that sounds almost dirty. Hang on. Oh, crickets. Well, crickets, Coco.
Yeah, I think it's I think it's Juan-Juan. It's the ghost of Juan-Juan. Yeah.
So that's for our Halloween show, which will be coming up in a couple of weeks. MIRVs are MIRV, which are multiple independently targeted
reentry
vehicles. Okay, so when you would see these ICBMs go off, it wasn't just one warhead, it was like four. And they would go up there, they would break apart, and the four would go to independently targeted places. This is like mass destruction we're talking about, okay? And UFOs interfered with these during the 60s and 70s. Parade Magazine did a huge story on it. Peter Jennings did a huge 3-hour special on it, not before he died, but a year before he died, okay? It's the most comprehensive thing you've ever seen on network TV. So anyway, one of these ICBM places, before they even put the missile in, was every night UFOs would show up.
Right, they had a visitation of some kind, yep.
Right, and it got so bad that as they're building this silo, okay, in the desert, let's say, the people who were sent out there, the MPs or the Air Force Police who were sent out there to protect this place at night, went on strike. They didn't want to go out there because so many UFOs were showing up, okay? And this is basically the haunted site, and as soon as they put the missile in, okay, it even got worse. It got worse. In fact, they would have like 2 scramble jets at a local Air Force base on call all the time just to fly over there. But as soon as they flew over, the UFOs would disappear. They'd go in, the UFOs would come back. It's like the standard thing. Well, it turns out the haunted silo is in Roswell, New Mexico. Okay, right. It's not more than 90 miles away from this whole Roswell balloon stuff had happened. And if people just kind of shifted their gaze a little bit, and leave the museum and the hijinks and the carnival alone and go and look at this haunted silo in Roswell, New Mexico, you'd be more convinced of UFOs than ever, believe me. But anyway,
now, it's
how about that for a little tap dancing, Coco? You like that?
Beautiful. But I think the other part that you talk about, and you talked about in your book, this also occurs at Rendlesham, where they had some UFO activity. And there's been reports of the same thing happening with submarines that were carrying nukes that they had overflights. So,
there's definitely
that's the one that we should be talking about, and we still argue about the material and the said hieroglyphics that was actually some kind of.
With some guys, they went to a floral shop and they said, "Oh yeah, we used to put these displays in the window, and the way that we bought the balsa wood, they would put, instead of putting words, they put like a picture of a bird, a picture of a flower, a picture of the sun or whatever." And people thought this was some kind of code. And he says, "No, all they are is they're like 5 symbols from the 5 different distribution points." And I think they were made, who the hell knows, not in China those days, but they were just the distribution codes, so they could go to different countries that people didn't have to read English. Okay.
Right.
And it's the balsa wood that was used in the, display window of a floral shop. Okay. So don't be so aroused by Roswell.
Ooh.
Go look at the haunted ICBM silo in Roswell, and you'll be more than ever convinced that there are UFOs around and not some balloon that just kind of.
And if you take a step even further back and listen to or read any of the Native American histories in that part, again, another series of activities that have gone on for years.
Right.
So.
Hey, Coco, I have a bulletin here.
Okay, standing by.
Issues connecting to Skype services. We are aware of an incident where users will not be able to log on to Skype. Users already logged in may not be able to make calls to landlines or perform other transactions. That's exactly what we're trying to do. Our engineers are actively working on it. You know that, right?
Yeah, they're at the floral shop right now. They're at the floral shop right now getting the balsa wood and plastic right now.
Right. They probably only took 30 minutes and not an hour for lunch. So, hats off to these heroes. We hope to resolve as soon as possible. Wow, that's a little bad English-wise. We apologize for the inconvenience, of course, that this has caused our users. So that's why you and I tonight are vamping, as they say in the biz. But I'll tell you what, the best friend to vamping is to take a commercial so we can, catch our breaths, let's say.
Yeah, make a little capitalism.
Okay. I'm getting there's an avalanche of letters and emails with questions to ask you, by the way. So, you might want to have another orange juice and get ready. So why don't we do this? Why don't we take a commercial break now? And we'll be right back with this Ask Cobra. This is a special edition of Ask Cobra. Ask
Cobra in the Crunch. Cocoa in the Crunch.
The Cocoa in the Crunch. Okay. All right. If you prefer that, that's fine with me. Let's see what happens. It's a hit.
Hey,
why don't we take an ad now? And we'll be right back after this. You're listening to Mack Maloney's Military X-Files show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. Stay with us.
After the events of 9/11, we thought America would never be the same. Our homeland was attacked, our fellow Americans killed by terrorists. It seemed like all hope was lost. Until a special group of patriots came together and defied the Pentagon and vowed to take revenge, but in their own way. They took the battle to the terrorists' doorstep, turning the tables on the murderers, fighting with no rules, taking no prisoners, until they became terrorists themselves. This is the story of the Superhawks, soldiers so secret even the president didn't know they existed. Their mission was to kill bin Laden, but they wound up saving the world. Superhawks, a new series for Kindles and Nooks by Mack Maloney, available on Amazon.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to Mack Maloney's Military X-Files show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. This is Mack Maloney, and we're in the midst of a special edition tonight. Ask Coco. Okay, Skype has gone down, so this is Coco's time to shine. Anything you wanted to ask Commander Cobra ever, please let us know. You know our email, you know our text. We will answer. Well, he will answer the questions that we ask him. Are you ready there, Coco?
I am, sir.
This is like the $64,000 question, right?
Yes, and I'm really good. I'm good at this.
Without the $64,000. Okay, here we go. Are you ready? Okay. From a fan, you ready? I'd like to ask Cobra if he had any Cold War experiences regarding what would happen to him in the event of World War III. Would he go on any mystery missions? Was he ever told he would?
I did have a couple. Well, we practiced all the time for the various missions that we did, and I think I've explained some of those in the past. One of them that I always thought was really interesting, kind of fun, was the AN-2 Colt, which is still around. The North Koreans have a whole bunch of them. It's a fabric-covered, in parts wood, metal tube frame airplane, and it's capable of doing carrying a lot of their special forces, Spetsnaz or Spetsnaz forces. And many of the former clients of the Soviet Union and friends of the emerging Russian Empire still use them. They're very simple airplanes to maintain. They're not very fast. They fly low and slow. They have big tires, and they could land anywhere. And one of the missions that we used to talk about, practice all the time, was trying to take these out. You would fly in our helicopters. You'd position over the top of them, and then you'd basically saw the tail off with a machine gun to get them to spin in and crash, because you wanted those guys not to be able to get out of the airplane. Okay. Because they were some nasty characters. There may have been some excursions across once, which was the boundaries between the country I was stationed in. We don't need to go into too much detail there, but there was a lot of activity that went on in that.
Was this country, did it have the word? Did they have the letters STAN at the end of it?
STAN? No. Okay, no. This is all in Germany, Central Europe, in the Cold War days.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. Okay. UNX keeping us free. Okay.
Right.
All right.
I did spend a lot of time on various stands and ANDs when I was working as a contractor in Iraq. That was always a pretty busy
all right.
part of the world.
Do you know what STAN means? You know what STAN means?
I don't think so.
Here they are. The Iranian embassy calling me. Hang on. I'm sure it's an update from Skype. Okay. Ready? Okay. No. Yep. Here it is. You ready, Cobra?
I am.
Skype is still out. Okay.
Okay. Mr. Maloney.
Do you know what STAN means?
No, I don't know where that came from.
It means our homeland, our land. So it's Pakistan, Afghanistan. Yeah. Dumb screwistan. Anyway, go ahead, please. I'm sorry. So, you were telling us how you snuck into this country, and
we were doing. We did a lot of work along those borders. So one of the things that we prepared for, and a couple of the war plan missions that we had, were basically one-way missions. We brought the crew on board that was going to do the special work, the various special forces. This predates SOCOM and JSOC. They were just coming together as I was finishing that first assignment. And we would go in, and the deal is that we didn't have fuel to get out. There wasn't going to be tanker support. There were just too many things going on. And the idea was to get these men into position so that they would be placed, that radars would be in place, that they'd have the gear, and slow up the secondary echelon moving in. And for the rest of us that were on board, we could try to fly back, but there was no place to fly to, most likely. So we were going to kind of hang out with them and
give it up, huh? Give up your soul for the flag.
Yep. So that was kind of. So there was a couple of things that you did. When you're young, you look at that, you just think it's a big adventure, and you think it's all gonna work. And I do remember a couple very fun missions practicing once again, where we were practicing very close to where the then Soviets, the Russians, were, because they were having an exercise at the same time. The vintage spy versus spy situation with airplanes, helicopters, and in the dark. And we were supposed to drop U.S. SEALs and Norwegian SEALs. They're going to go out by parachute with their rubber boat. We're just going to have them. They were going to walk off into the darkness. And I'm talking to the lead SEAL, and we were looking at the water conditions, and it was just absolutely. In wartime, it would have been considered pretty stupid to do this, because you're going to end up losing a lot of your folks. For training, absolutely not. So he said to me, well, if we could just land on the beach, and that was like a huge leap for a boat, and we weren't supposed to do it. So of course I went down, I landed on the beach, and I brought the boat back. Everybody wondered where the SEALs were and why do you still have the boat? So we insured them, and they went, and they got really, the reason they weren't supposed to go on the beach is because they got really, really close to the possible potential adversary. So,
but did you have, okay. That's good. We should put some music behind that, some stirring music. But did you have a place, if World War III happened, did you have a place you had to be?
Yeah. I was at my unit. There was just no going any other place.
Okay.
We were there. And normally we would have moved to a forward operating location before anything would have happened. As soon as that happened, we routinely would get exercise to do that. You get the phone call, and it was actually almost humorous when you look at it. You could tell when it happened, because I'd get up in my second floor apartment where I lived in a house in Germany. I'd look out through the window, and I could see 2 houses over, that light go on a couple minutes after I did. As you're getting dressed, we had bags ready to go. There was stuff at the base. And really, for most of us, whoever got there first got a better position. You got to get pecking order. Did you want to fly out? Did you want to be in the back? However you wanted to do it. And of course, I was living the dream in those days, so I would be there as lickety split. I'd have the thing pre-flighted, and as soon as everybody was on board, hit the starters, and we were gone. And we practiced that.
Only AT&T offers unlimited data with HBO included, and you never pay overages. Plus, get DirecTV Now for only $10 a month. It's entertainment your way. After 22 gigabytes of data usage, AT&T may slow speeds. Plan includes Stream Saver, and videos will stream in standard definition unless you turn it off. Credits start within 3 bill cycles. $10 price based on $35 Live a Little package minus $25 credit. Service prices subject to change. Other usage, speed, and restrictions apply. Visit your nearest AT&T store.
Quite a bit. Now, for those, I'm not sure if Mac can hear me. Mac, if you hear me nod on the screen. Yeah, I can't hear you. Something has gone on your side.
Well, it's funny because you mentioned that. Because, as you know, we live on an island. And when we first moved out here, which wasn't too far, they call me again. Okay. We got a robocall that said there was a blizzard coming and that they advised people to go to the mainland, as they put it, right? So we're kind of up on a hill, and you can kind of look over the neighborhood a little bit, and you saw lights come on. You know what I mean? Everyone's lights, and then you see cars start out.
Yeah. In all manner of dress,
right?
As people are coming down, in everything. But as I said, the big difference was we were totally drilled and grilled for that. So you had bags to go, and then sometimes you were told bring your warm weather bag, and other times you're told bring the cold weather bag, and it would be the opposite season because you were getting ready to, and it was partially the test. But sometimes it kept going. I mean, I remember we were brought in and we were headed to Africa because we were going to sling out a Soviet helicopter that had crashed. We were going to try to bring it out because they wanted to exploit the technology.
Oh, right, sure.
And we made it as far as Spain, and then they turned off the mission.
Oh, really? Yeah. Why? Well, hang on a second. I'll say, you're listening to Mack Maloney's Military Exile show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. Skype is down, but we are up. We are the Viagra of the internet networks. Don't you think they will go?
Yeah, you hit that head on. You hit that
head on. Okay, hang on. All right. See, now we're reaching our stride. So let me ask you this. Okay, so basically what happened was they had you go in, okay, and you were going to pick up this helicopter. It's similar to picking up the Russian sub in the middle of the Pacific that the Global Explorer did. It's the same idea.
Yeah,
Let's get as much of their technology as we can, right? And we'll dissect it. And we'll see, if there's stuff we don't know. We'll know stuff we don't know, right? But why would they cancel that operation when you got, basically halfway to your goal?
Well, I did find out at a later date that a better deal came along. So the payoffs that they would have to make to various governments that were involved on the continent of Africa and the entanglements that were going to cause weren't worth it. And another friendly nation actually had acquired one that was intact that was not crashed.
So why bother?
And then turned it over to the United States.
Well, let me
I'm sure for a tidy sum.
This is probably inside, but do you think that someone just called the Soviet embassy or whatever it was at the time, say, listen, you want the helicopter back? You owe us.
No, I think in this particular case that they didn't really care. The Soviets had sold this. This was being flown by a third world nation military then, and
Somalia.
That had crashed.
Yep.
You're not too far. It's further west of Somalia.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Take your pick.
I take your pick. And so many offers on the menu there to choose from.
Right.
The one that did come, and it was the first of many that followed rapidly after that, was a country that's friendly, that we're friendly with, and they had engaged in much activity, and one was left behind, and they took it. So.
All right. Okay. All right. Let me ask you this. Okay. You're listening to Mack Maloney's Military Exile show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. I don't have my shades on.
Yeah, you'll feel better now. Everybody put them on, though. The phone rings. Yeah.
We should. Yeah, I know. We should explain. We're doing a very different kind of show tonight because apparently Skype has collapsed. Okay, it's the end of civilization as we know it because Skype.
I believe it's. I think it's the Kim brothers that are.
But somehow or other, we're on Skype, which is kind of strange. So what we're doing is we're asking Cobra questions that you've always wanted to ask him. Okay, and I'm going to ask you a question. All right.
You've asked me some doozies over the years.
No. Now this is from an email, but I'm gonna edit it a little bit. Okay. Have you ever, in your time of service to this country, okay, both in the military and then serving as a military contractor, have you ever embarrassed the flag? Have you ever embarrassed the USA? And before you answer, I just want to tell you that you had told us a story about you and your buddies who actually took the train through Germany, communist Germany to Berlin, right? Correct? Okay. All right. Can you thumbnail that trip very quickly, and then I have a follow-up.
All right. So the incident Mack refers to is the German government provided like an all-expense paid trip to Berlin.
What year?
This would be 1985.
Yeah.
So the theory behind it is that it was to get you to see what it was like for the East Germans and why you were there and why we're putting this big defense up against. And it was pretty incredible trip. Mm-hmm. It had all the harkings and markings of something that you would see in a movie. You don't leave the train station and you don't get to enter East Germany till it's dark. When you come up to the area where you go through the rail yard to go in, then East Germany. Now it's all the Federal Republic of Germany. It looked like, the searchlights are there, the barbed wire, the guys, the Stasi looking guys walking around.
It's the movie.
Yeah, it was the movies. Where are your papers? I mean, that moment comes, and you had special orders that were written in German, French, English, and Russian, and you had to have them. They had to be right.
So we should explain that the city of Berlin, the way that they, after World War II, what they did was that they took Nazi Germany and they divided it into 4 different sections.
They allowed the Russians to come very far towards the middle and
the country itself was divided into 4 sections, and then Berlin, the capital, which was deep in the Russian zone, that itself was divided into 4 different sections. And it's U.S., English, French, and Russian, the winners. Basically, okay? Right. But if you wanted to get to Berlin from, let's say, our sector, you had to take a train or a plane or a car through communist East Germany to get to Berlin. Okay, so that's where we are.
And of course, it sets up, a place of absolute intrigue. If you've seen Bridge of Spies, excellent movie, by the way.
Excellent movie.
Excellent movie. And it covers a lot of it, compiles a lot of those incidents into one. Of what was going on. So now, much later in the 80s, I have to tell you that the then East Germans really disliked us a little bit more than the Russians because they blamed us for the situation they were in. They, many of them had families, so they knew what it was like in West Germany. West Germany is, re-industrializing. They're getting cars, they're building houses. And they're living very poorly in East Germany. It was very, very tough.
East Germany was just like the real armpit of the whole.
And the Russians were punishing them, and they were also treating it as the bludgeon, the anvil that they would had no problem doing anything they had to wipe out friendly forces, our forces in East Germany. If that was chemical or nuke, they were going to do it. There was just no ifs, ands, or buts. They would have rolled
over the East Germans.
That was just going to be the way it was. But anyway, we're on the train, and we're really having a good time, and we're getting crazier and having more. And it's fraught with the kind of intrigue and fun that you could find. And it was around the Christmas holidays, and that's the reason normally it would be husband and wife kind of couplings that had gone on these trips. Nobody wanted to go at the Christmas holidays, so all us single guys go. And we are absolutely just tearing it up at this point. We're having a great time. And, of course, we're giving the East German who comes on board a hard time about the papers and the whole 9 yards. And it's getting better. And one of my dear friends in the middle of all this, we're finally settling down. We have to get serious. We've got to get some sleep because we're going to be rolling into the station in a few hours. And we've got to get our uniforms on and go about our business there. He does this hop-up handstand. I'll never forget it. And he puts his head right into the light bulb in our compartment. The light bulb explodes. He, of course, gets hurt, drops down into the dark. It's mass pain. It looked like something out of the Marx Brothers at this point while we're going on. we got some pretty dirty looks when we rolled into the station. So I'd say that was a bit of a borderline of not maybe being the best officer and gentleman I could be, but I remind people it took an act of Congress to make me a gentleman. So keep that in mind. Another small aspect there, we had a tendency to be somewhat disrespectful towards our East German hosts when we were on that part of the, not the folks, the people actually were actually quite cool. We had a lot of fun there with the folks there. But a lot of times the guards and the related folks, they would give you a hard time and we'd give it right back to them. But I think we thought that was part of the game that we were playing. I have really not had too many opportunities to do something that would be a disgrace in any way. The times that I have maybe gone off the appointed orders or sign the sheet of what we were supposed to do, I was able to usually correct myself or at least make the reason why I made the deviations that I did. Generally, right. I pulled things the way they were supposed to go.
Right. Can I ask you another quick email question? Then we'll go to a break.
Sure.
This is from the central part of the country. Have you ever done anything, maybe you've already answered this, have you ever done anything undercover where you had to literally dress differently and so on?
Yes.
Can you tell us?
I mean, well, in a couple occasions, one of them in the military, I went to a country that we were developing relationships with. They wanted to have the ability to increase their connection and their ability to rebuild their military, much like the way the American military is built. And I was asked to go. I spent most of my time not in uniform there, only at the very end when I went to an official function. I flew in their aircraft, showing them ways to how we did business, and ended up actually doing some light special mission work with them. And it was I still have very close friends there, and it was a very rewarding one. It wasn't anything so that I felt like, well, if I got myself in trouble any more or less, I don't think I think they would have just viewed me as a really good English speaking person in that country, and I would have seen the same fate that most of the folks that I was helping or working with would have, which wouldn't have been very pleasant, because they were involved in a light combat type situation for the most of the time I was there. So that was kind of neat, and I did a lot of that interesting work as a contractor. I had different agencies that would approach us to do work because we had the ability to be very flexible in comparison to the military. Military generally has a lot of rules on there. And from about 2000 on, post 9/11 especially, the acceleration of thinking outside the box and taking what was available and turning into something bigger than it was, that it was greater than the sum of all the parts, really came a flight. I mean, that you see that with the drone or UAS activity, how people just they exploded that capability very quickly. Right. We had huge gaps in our ability to do observation and reconnaissance. That's why the contractor world that I was in, we spent so much time doing that. And just the group of people I had doing that came from all backgrounds in the military. I had helicopter pilots, I had fighter pilots, I had transport guys.
You were spying, right? Were you spying?
Yeah.
Would you call it spying?
Not so much spying, because spying, you generally are working in a very clandestine way. We were doing a surveillance reconnaissance kind of role where we wanted to cloak as much as we could. We tried to use the cover of darkness. But if we were caught, our fate was going to be much like anybody else. That part of the world doesn't differentiate between spies. I mean, people don't get along within the same tribe in that part of the world.
Right. Yeah, sure.
Very well.
Yes.
So, I mean, I standing there at 6'2", I don't think I was going to do any better with, proving
you have to handle it delicately. Yeah. Let me ask you this. We're going to go in that real quick. Okay.
All right.
Just yes and no. Okay. And then you're listening to Mack Maloney's Military X-Files show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. Tonight it's Ask Coco. Okay. I'm going to ask you this. You can think over the commercial if you want, but I'm going to really zap you. Ready?
Yep.
The Baltimore police riots a few years ago. Did you fly over those? Did you eavesdrop on those? Did you spy, surveil those?
I did not.
The people in the street?
I do know that activity was going on.
It was done. Right.
It was done. But I want to explain on the break. I want to explain more when we come back.
Okay, well, you're going to have to wait until after this Dunkin' Donuts ad, okay? Coco?
I'm ready, sir.
Okay,
I'm ready.
So you're listening to Mack Maloney's Military X. Boy, I wish Juan-Juan was here. You know what I mean? He's my binky. You know what I mean? Anyway, let's take a break. You're listening to Mack Maloney's Military X show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. We'll be right back after this.
Over the years, Air Force Major Hawk Hunter and his band of patriotic fighter pilots have fought tirelessly to reunite a fractured America, devastated by a Russian sneak attack. Now, returning from a mysterious space odyssey, Hunter finds a huge Russian army occupying New York City, ready to invade the rest of America. Buzzing through the city's skyscraper canyons in a tiny top-secret ghost plane and seeing the invaders' massive weaponry for himself, Hawk realizes he's up against the greatest danger his homeland has ever faced. But equally alarming are reports claiming that Hawk's former girlfriend, Dominique, is living with the head of the Russian secret police in a Manhattan penthouse. Is she his prisoner, or is she something else? With the woman and the country he loves in dire peril, Hawk Hunter, the Wingman, will apply all his aviation prowess to launch the most crucial battle for America yet, no matter what the risks. Filled with fast-paced action, a wide range of aircraft and military hardware, Battle for America brings back your favorite characters from earlier books in the Wingman series and delivers a riveting story that reveals new insight on America's most famous hero, the Wingman. That's Wingman 18, The Battle for America. On sale now at Amazon.com and available at your local bookstore.
Welcome back, everyone, to Mack Maloney's Military Exile show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. This is Mack Maloney. What a different night it is. I have a feeling that Superman may have, flown very quickly around the world and somehow altered the rotation because Skype, the mighty Skype, is down. But to our advantage, Cobra and I are on the line. Cobra, that means I have to salute you. On the line with us is the very famous Commander Cobra.
Good evening, sir.
Wow. How about that? Look.
Oh, it's good. That's
really?
Yeah, see, I think that when you're by yourself and Juan-Juan's not there to intimidate you, you get a better salute. Yeah.
Wow. Huh. So a little bit on the anti-Juan-Juan thing.
No. Juan-Juan gives a very sharp salute.
See, Juan-Juan is not here. And sharp salute is not code for anything.
No, it's
Juan-Juan
it could be.
Yeah, it could be, but
after the show. But in this case, it's not. It's not.
Skype is down. This is whatever the date is. It's like War of the Worlds.
Yeah,
Skype is
disintegrated. This is North Korea. North Korea started.
Yeah, we are hanging on. We're like
we're the leading edge. We're the pathfinders right here. We are pathfinders.
Also,
we're those guys on a bridge too far right now. That's what
Dave went to the shelter, and don't come and bang on my door there. Don't take it personally. We only have food for 30. Okay. Anyway. So what we've turned this into is Ask Coco, okay? I mean, I've had a million questions I've always wanted to ask you, okay? And now we're having the chance to do it, and it's really cool. So while I happen to be out there fielding calls, you told your story about how you took the train into East Germany, correct? Okay.
Yeah, we talked about East Germany.
Tell the people how you were acting, how you were...
Yes. We went through the whole thing that we had grouped it up a little bit. That I gave
display? I have to ask this. It was a drunken display, right? It's like the Three Stooges in that episode where they're on the...
It was more classy. It was more like the Marx Brothers on the train.
I disagree. The Stooges aren't as classy as the Marx.
No. I'm saying if you're looking for the genre, it's in the comedic side, no doubt. But it's more of a...
Stooges. I mean, the Stooges are a different kind of comedy than the Marx Brothers.
Yes.
The Marx Brothers are hilarious. There's no doubt about it.
And we were hilarious. There's no doubt about it.
But the Marx Brothers a little bit highbrow, and the Stooges, I think that they're a little bit lowbrow, but they're just as funny. I asked some guy who...
I agree.
Some one of these people who, kind of Yale educated. I said to him, how many people do you think have, entertained have been entertained by the Stooges, and how many people do you think have been entertained by Picasso? And what is the bigger number? And it's the Stooges, and it's the Marx Brothers. Okay, more people enjoy the Marx Brothers than anything Picasso ever did. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, when you
like,
think
you know,
about the residuals, the
Stooges didn't get residuals.
No, I'm thinking the wrong. It's the wrong term.
Residual funding.
It generationally it just keeps going. I think after a while you actually code that. You say stuff and you make people want to know about it.
Right, exactly. But can I
Kids
tell
now
you,
don't know anything about it. It's a shame.
here's the strange thing, okay? And this is really weird, and people should really look into this, all right? Chicks do not dig the Stooges, but chicks will laugh at the Marx Brothers.
Yeah, that's correct.
It's very funny. I mean, if there's a Marx Brothers bit where they run a ship and they...
Only AT&T offers unlimited data with HBO included, and you never pay overages. Plus, get DirecTV Now for only $10 a month. It's entertainment your way. After 22 gigabytes of data usage, AT&T may slow speeds. Plan includes Stream Saver, and videos will stream in standard definition unless you turn it off. Credits start within 3 bill cycles. $10 price based on $35 Live a Little package minus $25 credit. Service prices subject to change. Other usage, speed, and restrictions apply. Visit your nearest AT&T store.
Get as many people as you can unbelievably humanly possible to get into a cabin, a small cabin. You know, and the way they do it, you can't stop.
Yeah.
You know, but the Stooges would do it in a different way. Okay, it's just kind of different.
I think the basis of that is the difference is men think slapstick is funny because we hit each other. We used to. I don't know if we're allowed to do that anymore. But when we would smack each other and do stupid stuff,
right?
That's what attracts men to the Stooges kind of thing. And the women that think the Stooges are funny tend to have a kind of a tomboyish kind of label that's applied to them.
Right.
The Marx Brothers was a lot more cerebral. There's a lot going on. You know, you had so much flying through there that you had to follow it to get that scene where Groucho does that with his brother with the where it's the fake mirror. Yeah.
Coco, I hate to say this, but Skype has just come back online.
Excellent.
Okay, all right. So why don't we do this? Now we're getting everyone in, okay? But I want to just continue this for 1 second, okay? Don't you think, I mean, when people talk about the elitism around the world, okay? And I've seen it firsthand, you know? I've been to Newport, Rhode Island, where Juan-Juan protected us from Viet Cong somehow, right? And I've been to like Block Island and those islands, you know, and you would see these yachts, and these yachts are unbelievable. We went by one yacht once, and the guy on our boat, we were taking a ferry. Listen to all the calls. The guy on the ferry said, and on this yacht, there was not one, but 2 helicopter pads. 2 on your, and he said, one guy on our way in said, that yacht belongs to Raymond Patriarca of Rhode Island. Okay, look at this. And on the way out, he says,
it right now.
On the way out, he goes, Ringo Starr's yacht. Okay, if you have a yacht that you can land 2 choppers on, aren't you kind of in the 1%?
I'd say you're in the league. Yeah,
okay.
You're definitely.
But the 1% is going to be, you know, entertained by Picasso. The other 99% is going to be entertained by the Marx Brothers and the Stooges.
Absolutely.
Who should be running the world?
The Stooges and the Marx Brothers fans.
Right. Thank you.
And well, let's put it this way: who's paying for that 1%?
Okay. You should change immediately to become a Democrat, not a Republican.
Oh, I'm a libertarian.
Wow. Can you believe this? I guess Skype is on the air. So why don't we take a break, and then hopefully all these people who have been hanging on Skype will be able to talk to us. Cobra, thank you very much for tap dancing. You should be on Dancing with the Stars. Okay, it's only because your wealth of knowledge we'd be able to, do an hour here, right?
Yep. I always enjoy answering the questions, Mac.
All right. We'll have more for you. So you're listening to Mack Maloney's Military Expo Show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. We'll be right back after this.
UFOs are found in Renaissance art, on ancient coins, and etched on cave walls. They are even reported in the Bible. But more surprising is when UFOs are seen the most in times of war. Through centuries, thousands of UFO sightings have been made by high-ranking officials, military pilots, and ordinary soldiers. Often, these fantastic appearances occur at the height of great battles. From World War I to D-Day to Korea, Vietnam, and beyond, military investigators are baffled. Why do UFO sightings spike so drastically during wartime? Could it be mistaken aircraft, or is someone or something looking in on us? In UFOs in Wartime, What They Didn't Want You to Know, Mack Maloney chronicles centuries of these incredible sightings and tries to solve the puzzle of why so many UFOs are seen while humanity is at war. Read about the scare ships, the ghost planes, and the ghost rockets, alien giants in the jungles of Vietnam, UFOs controlling our ICBM bases, dogfights with flying saucers during the Gulf War, and more. 300 pages of unbelievable stories, along with many startling photographs. That's UFOs in Wartime, What They Didn't Want You to Know, by Mack Maloney. On sale at your local bookstore or on Amazon.com.
After the events of 9/11, we thought America would never be the same. Our homeland was attacked, our fellow Americans killed by terrorists. It seemed like all hope was lost. Until a special group of patriots came together and defied the Pentagon and vowed to take revenge, but in their own way. They took the battle to the terrorists' doorstep, turning the tables on the murderers, fighting with no rules, taking no prisoners, until they became terrorists themselves. This is the story of the Superhawks, soldiers so secret even the president didn't know they existed. Their mission was to kill bin Laden, but they wound up saving the world. Superhawks, a new series for Kindles and Nooks by Mack Maloney, available on Amazon.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to Mack Maloney's Military Exile Show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. Well, we have a very interesting show tonight. And you know what? This might not be the highlight, might not be the tentpole, but it's going to be one of them. Because joining us, the magic of a renewed Skype, the very famous Juan-Juan, is finally here.
Finally, wow. On a wing of prayer.
Wow. I got to tell you there, dude. I referenced you earlier. I said, I need Juan-Juan here. He is my binky. Did I say that there, Cobra?
She did. That's the new word for bank.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Do you have your Juan-Juan? Wrap your Juan-Juan around this.
There you go. No more swoozy swoop jazz. It might be binky there.
Well, so long as it's not a Juan-Juan voodoo doll or something.
Well, you know, that could be in the future. You never know.
Right.
So Juan-Juan is here. How are you doing there, Juan-Juan? Doing
Hey,
the big
pretty good. Through the magic of technology, I was taking a breather, but here we are.
A breather. Okay. Skype was down for about an hour. Was it like the 1966 blackout? Was it akin to that?
I think it had the same impact by looking at the website called What's Up or downdetector.com.
Were any of the porn channels affected? X-Hamster, X-Video, do you know?
Usually, I didn't check while I was so busy trying to call Skype, but usually they have so much backup infrastructure that
we can't put all those Russians out of work. Anyway, Juan-Juan is here, and also the very famous, equally famous. Now I have to call him very famous Juan-Juan because you understand that he moved up the batting order.
Oh, I did.
Commander Cobra. Go Cobra.
I'd just like to say that you said Viagra and tentpole in the same show.
Really?
That's got to be, yes.
Oh, my goodness. Two potential clients. So Juan-Juan was here, so we are together again. We are home.
Finally.
Okay.
I'm so relieved.
What we've been doing is we've been asking people to email us questions to ask Cobra, and we could only ask about 10% of them on the air. The rest of them
the rest of them will be done through an explicit website question and answer format.
Yeah, right. The joke is on them. But anyway, through the magic, once again, of technology, Switcherino is here with us, right? Steve, you there?
Yeah, that was quite an ordeal trying to get
bowl of flakes. Yeah,
that's right. Boy, I'll tell you what. I kept going on Skype, and they said, the troubleshooting things. Everything's fine on Skype. It must be just you. And I'm looking at all the messages all over the world. People are ticked off because they can't get on.
It's you.
That's right.
It's you. It's all because of you.
That's
Your
right.
negative attitude. Right. Okay, and maybe hopefully joining us later on will be Emily Mittermeier and also Rob Beckhausen. But Switcherino, how you doing there?
I'm doing good now.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, listen now, before we went into this other format, what was the question that you wanted always to ask Coco?
Well, I would like to know, I know he's done some, I guess you could say government work. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
I would
Cobra.
like-
Hang on.
That's Cobra. Good enough for government work.
There you go. That's his entire.
Oh, E2
I would-
E2. Oh, that was beautiful. The 1-1. And not in all night, and he slipped
All right.
that
I'm
stiletto
telling you,
in.
Steve, he's
That's right.
got writers or something, man. He's moving up the chain. Go ahead.
Okay.
Please, Steve.
Well, it hasn't gone to my head just yet. But anyway, I would like to know, Commander Cobra, if you have ever gone undercover in any capacity, and if so, what can you tell us about it?
Did we
Whoa.
do that already, Cobra?
That's getting personal, isn't it?
What's your
Yeah.
second question, Steve?
Yeah.
You already
that
answered.
question,
You
we got
answered
that
the
question by
embarrassing
email.
USA.
We got that question by email, and I did cover it. And
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
yes,
You
you'll
got
have to
one?
listen to the show to find out what I said. If you weren't being such a smartass, I might have answered it again.
Oh.
But we're gonna move on.
Steve, you got another
Okay.
question?
So I actually
You
have
know,
to listen to the
I
damn
wasn't
show.
the one
Bob.
that named you
You only have
Stiletto.
one question.
Okay, I wasn't
Okay.
the one that named you Stiletto, and then you took it. You know, I'm the one that intervened and said,
Don't
I
bring in the
understand
lawyers. We're already spending too much
Understand.
money on them.
and Michigan
Okay.
guys don't want to be called Stiletto because they're going to think of it as a heel, not the knife, and that's how we ended up with Switchblade. So
Goodness.
this is how you pay me back. All right, what's the second question, sir?
The second question is, have you ever had a
Oh.
paranormal experience?
Oh, hey,
so-
every Tuesday night.
Well,
Go
tonight
ahead,
it's
please.
been a very near out of body experience. So in the UFO world, part of the paranormal, no. Everything I've seen that I couldn't explain, I was able to explain at a later date, and it was man-made. So I've seen some stuff. That kind of area. In the ghost area, since we're going to be approaching the Halloween and
Special Halloween show.
Day of the Dead, I have had a couple interesting occurrences there. And I've shared them with Mack in the past. And one was fairly recent, was like about 10 years ago. I was much older. And I had a very strange reaction to a place that I had been around since I was a kid.
Okay.
And then I found out
this
some other
sounds weird,
information.
but go ahead, please. Is this jogging in the
Yeah, it was over
graveyard?
down by the cemetery, by the graveyard. And I told you, I played in that growing up as a kid, and I decided not to run the full 5 miles that night. I figured, hey, I'll do what I've always done as when I was a kid, or I'll cut through the cemetery, get on the other side of it, and jump back out on the sidewalk and get the rest of the run in.
Sounds like a
And-
plan. Go ahead.
Yeah, got in there, and I was overcome with a sense of dread, fear, hair up on my arms. I felt like a presence on me, and it was uncomfortable. I found out later on that in the area that I had played as a kid, and this part of the cemetery was a very strange person was interned there. There was stories of strange embalming that he did at his home, experiments with life after death. His body was reported to be stolen by Harvard medical students. It's just a crazy story that's behind it.
Wow.
And his headless corpse or ghost is supposed to be seen in the cemetery at certain times, and it still goes on to this day. So it was a very strange reaction. Didn't know anything about it until I started to look into it, and that was years later. I've had
So
some,
you've not been a person that you would consider would be sensitive, or somebody that's had several experiences over your life.
Well, he
just a couple.
is, if I can interrupt, he is Mr. Sensitive. So
yes, I
you
am.
know,
I was trying to bring that up that I have been by a medical professional typed as a sensitive person, but I've had. Steve, I would say that my reaction is something what Mack writes about. I would say that it's gut reactions or the inner voice, where I would almost say like a guardian angel or other forces around, those kinds of things. I feel like I've experienced the classical ghost kind of sighting or feeling, no. But I did have an interesting one with my wife when we moved to the house where I'm doing the show from.
Was this under the covers too?
It could be undercover. That's a different story.
Okay.
One different story for a
checking.
different time.
Just checking.
Mrs. Cobra does like a little bit of undercover work.
I bet she does.
So, we have the previous owners. The original owners of the land have a family plot. It's about 60 feet from where I'm sitting. In fact, you have all seen it. When you've been out to the compound here, you've seen the family plot that's out there.
Yes, we have.
When my wife and I were clearing the land and really cleaning up that cemetery and working things up, we noticed that the course of the day, 2 toys were unearthed where we were walking back and forth. Like the dirt had cleared off of them. And one was a car that looked a lot like the kind of car I was driving at the time, and one looked like the truck that she was driving at the time. We have little girls that were interned there. So we always took that as...
whoa, excuse me, just for the sake of the audience, what you're saying is, I know that you have a graveyard on your property. You walked by it, and there was a model of the car you drove and a model that the lovely Mrs. Cobra drives of truck?
Yeah. Yes, matchbox type cars, and they were obviously left by the children that lived in the house many, many years after the people that
died.
That are interned in the summer. This is very, very distant relative. We're talking a couple hundred years, almost in time, between the two groups. No, we just noticed that we were working all day and cleaning the cemetery, and we had talked about these girls because their gravestones are there, and we cleared trees off of it, and we cleaned up the grave sites.
Yes.
As we were working and hauling stuff back and forth, where we were stepping, these came up out of the ground. They were cleared away. So like someone had brushed them away or pushed them up. And it was really surprising because we had been there all day. It wasn't like we just overlooked them. They were both white little cars that were sitting there. So we took it as a sign that they were happy with what we've done, that they like the animals that we've had.
Wonderful.
And we've never had any bad things happen there at the house.
Cool. Well, let me ask you this. Are you preparing the food for Saturday? Or
I am.
Yeah, really? Okay. All right. Okay. If something went on, died. Anyway.
There'll be a turkey when you get there.
There'll be a turkey. Okay.
A turkey to pull apart.
Interesting. Okay. So anyway, Steve, you are with us. We're trying to get a hold of Emily Mittermeier, who I think is going to be back on here soon as Skype comes back up. But Steve, how are you doing? What's going on with you?
Well, getting ready for the Creature Weekend, which is coming up this coming weekend, and my wife and I will be attending. This is held at Salt Fork State Park in Ohio, and this is an area that allegedly there's been a lot of Bigfoot sightings and so forth, and it's run by Bruce Harrington, and he does a really good job. He gets together last year he had Ron Moorhead, who's a famous Bigfoot researcher that captured the Sierra Sounds back in the Sierra Nevadas back about 1973 or so. This year, one of the speakers is going to be Adam Davies. Now, Adam Davies is a famous a researcher who's searched for the Yeti and dinosaurs in the Congo and so forth. There's a dinner on that you can sign up for on Friday night, and he's going to be speaking there at the dinner as well as be a speaker on Saturday. And at the dinner, he's going to be talking about looking for dinosaurs in the Congo, the Orang Pendek in Sumatra. The Orang Pendek is kind of a smaller, more compact Bigfoot, but the same kind of idea. And then when he speaks on Saturday, he's going to be talking about the Yeti in expeditions he's taken to Nepal. And I guess he's been part of some specials for the History Channel. Mm-hmm. He's also worked with Josh Gates, of Destination Truth, and his newer show, which I can't remember the name of it. But
can I ask you a question real quick, Steve? Okay, so we hear a lot about Bigfoot in the U.S., okay? A lot of it seemed to be in the American Northwest. But I can remember years ago, this really got me into the paranormal. There was a story in Reader's Digest, of all places, which talked about Sir Edmund Hillary, who was, connected to the British family. I'm sure Coco knows, what the connection is. But he was the guy, I think he might have been the first guy who reached the peak of Everest. Is that right there?
Correct. That is correct.
Okay. Okay, he was the first guy who really reported on this thing called the Yeti, but they used to call it back then the Abominable Snowman, which is a great name. And he was the guy who first found the huge footprints and evidence that was some kind of creature inhabiting the Himalayas, and all of a sudden, and then that kind of spread to the Northwest and then to the United States itself. So, Switch, is the Abominable Snowman the same creature as the Bigfoot?
It seems to be. It seems like there's the tradition of these things all over the world. They just have different names for them. In different parts of the U.S., the Native Americans have different names for them. I think it was Ivan Sanderson that wrote, what was it called? Abominable Snowman, Legend Come to Life, back in the, late 50s, early 60s. He's probably the one that really put it on the map. I'm sure he talked about the Sir Edmund Hillary sighting and so forth. And but you're right, it wasn't. It was. I remember back reading Frank Edwards. A lot of us have read Frank Edwards and got kind of our interest in this thing from him. But there was a chapter in one of his books. He wrote these great anthologies with ghosts and UFOs and everything, called Stranger Than Science and Strangest of All. There was a chapter in one of them that was called The Monster Apes of Oregon. And I don't even think he used the term Bigfoot back.
Only AT&T offers unlimited data with HBO included, and you never pay overages. Plus, get DirecTV Now for only $10 a month. It's entertainment your way. After 22 gigabytes of data usage, AT&T may slow speeds. Plan includes Stream Saver, and videos will stream in standard definition unless you turn it off. Credits start within 3 bill cycles. $10 price based on $35 Live a Little package minus $25 credit. Service prices subject to change. Other usage, speed, and restrictions apply. Visit your nearest AT&T store.
Back then, they did talk about the Sasquatch, but so it was like it wasn't really coming into general consciousness until the early mid 60s. But of course, you go back and you'll find that these things have been cited all over the world with different names and so forth. Like I say, the Orang Pendek in Sumatra is basically just a smaller, more compact Bigfoot. The Yowie in Australia is described as being a little bit different in appearance, but basically the same thing. So it's like, in a way, it's like, how there's the tradition of the little people, the leprechauns and so forth, everywhere in one form or another. The same with with many other of these creatures are just the tradition. If you look for it, it's been there forever.
Mac, quick question. You made some remark about Sir Edmund and the royal family. What were you asking me?
Well, wasn't he Edmund Hillary? He was connected with the
No.
British Royal. No.
He's from New Zealand, and the big flap is when he died, when he passed away. No one from the royal family attended his funeral. I actually met him in Antarctica. He came down to McMurdo, and he was at the Kiwi base, which is right next to us in McMurdo. Very interesting man. Very stately guy.
But why? And why did they snub him?
That was a good question. They really didn't give a good answer, especially because his announcement of making it to Everest was made on the morning of her coronation, the Queen's coronation. That's interesting.
Poor
thing.
Timing.
Yeah,
poor timing, as they say in the PR biz, right?
And he also received. He's knighted. He's a knight of. He's like one of 24 or 25 people that's a knight of the Garter or whatever that part is. So they did. It really upset the Kiwis quite a bit. That because he's revered as a founding father and because of his achievements, and a very classy guy, very very.
And he was the guy who made it to the top before anyone else, right?
That's correct. Correct.
And how high is Mount Everest? Like 4 miles high?
23,000, 21,000 feet.
Okay. Yeah. What's that? Yeah, about 4 miles high.
Yeah, I can look it up while we're talking.
There's a volcano on Mars called Olympus Mons.
Right.
That's 14 miles high.
Right.
And its base is the size of Arizona. Okay, so that's a volcano, right?
It's 29,000 feet.
29,000 feet. Yep.
Okay. But still, to climb up there, I don't understand people who do that. You hear people going up there all the time, and it's kind of like a business there,
Oh,
who would do it except these rich kids that have nothing else to do,
Take a look at the pictures of the dump they have made the base camp area before you go out. It's a mess. There's bodies left there from people that have died that they can't get back down.
What's the matter with people?
No recycling up there either.
No recycling. All the
Apparently
auction bottles are still sitting there. It's a mess.
Wow. So anyway, and really, you have to be kind of like well heeled to to be able to afford to climb to the top of Mount Everest, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, wow, I'll tell you, what a night tonight. Thank you, Skype. Anyway, so it looks like Steve the Hammer Hammonds, who is going to talk to us tonight about remote viewing, ironically enough, won't be able to come on because Skype has kind of crapped the
I
bed,
wonder
as
when we
they
talked
say.
to him if he had seen all this, or if he has seen what we've been doing.
He's going to, he has. Believe me, we've been in touch the whole time. But people are coming back on Skype, but we're not able to get them on the phone. Emily Mittermeier is the same situation. It might change, but we have Switchblade with us here. So, Switch, did we interrupt you?
No, it was a great conversation, actually.
Okay, all right.
There is going to be one thing I do want to mention on Saturday night after the speakers. Now, Seth Breedlove is the guy that is the head of Small Town Monsters, and he's the one that did the most recent documentary called The Mothman of Point Pleasant, and he's done one on the Boggy Creek and another one called The Beast of Whitehall and the Minerva Monster, which are other Bigfoot sightings in upstate New York and Ohio. But he's the one he's going to premiere that hasn't been shown yet on Saturday night is called The Invasion of Chestnut Ridge. Now that goes back to southwestern Pennsylvania back in 73, 74. We've talked about this hot spot before. And Stan Gordon, the well-known UFO researcher back in those days, was the guy who was on the scene, looking at all this really bizarre stuff that was going on. This was classic UFO sightings in conjunction with Bigfoot reports. And, I suspect a lot of it's not just going to be about Bigfoot, by the way, at the weekend. There's going to be a guy talking about Champ, the creature, like the Loch Ness type creature from Lake Champlain. But the Chestnut Ridge was where you had these really bizarre Bigfoot reports that didn't make any sense. Sometimes people would actually shoot them point blank, and they would seem to disappear in a hail of sparks. Some of these weekends the speakers tend to be more of the flesh and blood type, and they don't really care. I don't know about all these guys here, but they don't care too much for the weird stuff, what they call the woo-woo stuff. Last year, Ron Moorhead was interesting because, again, I mentioned him earlier because he he and Alan Berry, who was a skeptical journalist at one time, were out there in 73 back in the Sierra Nevadas getting these incredible recordings of these creatures. Well, he started out very much looking at this as a purely flesh and blood unknown creature. But then his first book was called Voices in the Wilderness. But more recently, in the last year, he's come out with a book called Quantum Bigfoot because he's recognized, he thinks now he'll just state that Bigfoot is frankly interdimensional and somehow can phase in and out of our reality. And this is a guy that went from, like I say, very straightforward flesh and blood, don't talk about the weird stuff, to actually experiencing it and then relating it in his book. So it's going to be interesting. It's always interesting to hear different viewpoints on these type of cryptids.
Right. Can I interrupt we get a question from the audience from Juan-Juan. Is he still there?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. Is Skype owned by China?
It's owned by Microsoft, for starters.
Oh, okay. All right. Some conspiracy theorists in the audience there.
Yep.
Okay. Sorry, Switch. Go ahead, please.
Why, do you think there was a Chinese conspiracy going on?
Well, I don't know. All of a sudden, Skype is, we're doing our show tonight, and Skype goes on around the globe.
And it went down, I think, only about an hour or so before we came on the air, according to
But isn't Skype, it has to be like this huge friggin' thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what would actually...
Well, the reason why Skype didn't go down entirely is because the authentication servers, I'm assuming this, the authentication servers that match your user ID with your password.
Yes.
were not happy. So not every Skype user is on the same server.
Well, just get them a drink and a couple hookers, and they will be happy.
So
see, that seems very much like the Marx Brothers right there.
I was able to download the latest version. I was able to do other Skype things, but
that's going to happen. We're trying like crazy. Not to interrupt.
It would do other Skype things. This is an ad with Tentpole Viagra. It would do other Skype things.
I can't remember that.
Bam.
Emily Mittermeier is trying like crazy to get on, but as it turns out,
she's not able to get on because I know she was.
She's on Skype. We can't call her for some reason. And I think that was where the problem was. To tell you the truth. Okay. But as it turns out, she sent a question not for Cobra, not for Juan-Juan, but for me. Okay, let's see what happens here. No, I can't find it. Anyway, I'm sure it wasn't that entertaining. Anyway, can we go back to another question for Cobra?
Oh, I think I know what one of her questions was.
Okay, go ahead.
If you were not an author, what would you be doing in place of that?
Go ahead, Cobra. Please answer.
Yeah, but I'm not an author,
that was,
so I am.
That was for you, Mac, I think.
That was for
you.
What would that be doing?
The question she would have asked me, if you weren't an aviator, what would you be doing? That's what she would have said.
Yeah, that's right.
And I said I would have been living the idyllic life of a writer. That's what I would have answered.
Okay. Well,
Over to you,
I'd like
Matt.
to answer that, if you don't mind, if the court pleases. In the 5th grade, when the nun put me in the last seat in the last row, which was like really, you're in Siberia there. You know what I mean? Yeah, Cobra Juan-Juan, you went to Catholic school, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Your knuckles were bruised by 12-inch pieces of wood, otherwise called a ruler.
Okay, right. Okay. The pieces of wood.
After all of that.
Also on X-Hamster today, but a different topic. Anyway.
Failing pieces of wood. 12 inches pieces of wood.
There
Yeah,
you go.
It just keeps rolling. Highbrow.
That's a separate category on X-Hamster.
And it's almost racist, so watch it. Anyway, the nun said to me, you know what, little Mac, you're good in English and you really are bad in everything else. So you might want to, try to write for a living when you grow up. So my answer to Emily is that I can't think of anything else I could be. Could you, Cobra or Juan-Juan? Can you imagine me?
You're perfect as a writer.
Driving a bus. See, that's an insult, though, Juan-Juan.
I was wondering if you were wait. Have you written what you're going to have on your tombstone?
Yes. Yes, I have.
If you flesh that out, so to speak.
Mac, I would see you in doing the rock and roll thing. I can see you writing and doing music.
Oh wow!
As easily as you're doing the writing kind of thing.
Wow!
And you kind of do that already. So the other thing is you appear to me to be one of those guys that would be doing the really cool indie movies. That's why I've never understood why the Wingman series hasn't been picked up for some kind of movie gig, because the stuff is that was really good stuff.
Thank you, Cobra. Well,
no, I mean, if you ask, that's what I think you would be doing.
Yeah, it would be very visual. I mean, you could do a lot with the with that.
He writes when the way he writes really poses a really interesting visual.
Yeah, have you pitched it to the Weinstein brothers yet?
Oh,
wow!
I'd go there.
Which
one?
No, I know what Emily's other question was.
I don't even understand.
Okay,
what that
save
remark.
us.
That was code. The pitch business.
Right.
Well, I'm not even sure what that was.
I got to tell you, Wingman books have been, have been approached from Hollywood. Okay, they've been optioned, as they say, and basically they give you like some money for 6 months where they have the exclusive rights to make a movie about Wingman. And if they renew, they give you a little bit more money. It's not crazy money, but it's, it's okay, But every time that has happened, the same thing from different companies, production companies, agents, all this, same thing comes back and they say it would be too expensive to do a Wingman movie. It would be too expensive because you would have to do it. And I say to them, just do it with CGI. You can see this stuff on TV right now that's just like, and
it's
people get
CGI.
it. Make it a comic book,
Mac, as your legal counsel on this particular the next time this ridiculous remark is made by one of your Hollywood luminaries, would you please tell them, have they seen Sin City? and tell me how
That's it should be like Sin City, exactly.
You could not make those movies. How about Captain Tomorrow or Captain?
Yes, Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow.
They don't, because when they look at this, they look at it as another Top Gun. And Top Gun, when it was
no, they need to go look at Sky Captain.
I know, but you don't think I try to tell them that, but you have to kind of
send it to me.
Send it to you. Okay, all right.
Tapping the ring on the mic right there. Right. Tapping the ring on the mic. Just send it to me. That's it.
Top Gun cost.
He wants to be in the movie. That's why I got to send it to Cobra.
20 minutes. Yeah, 20 years ago, Top Gun I think cost like $86 million or something like that, and they had to pay the Navy. It isn't even paying the Navy, but it's paying the logistics, as you know, Coco.
Yeah, the Navy did not get paid for that.
Yeah, it's like the logistics of getting the camera crew to the naval station and putting the cameras in the F-14s and all that stuff. Took lots and lots of money. And so whenever they look at a Wingman book, they look at it from that point of view. And I say, like I said before, make it like a human comic book. That's. But anyway, I digress. So, you know what? I think we should probably take a commercial break right now on this special show, the Skype disaster show. And then everyone could.
It didn't say Hindenburg on the side of it. It said Skype.
The horror, right? Is that the humanity? I'm sorry.
Oh, the humanity.
Yeah. So why don't we take an ad now, and we'll be right back after this. You're listening to Mack Maloney's Military Exile Show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. Please stay with us.
Over the years, Air Force Major Hawk Hunter and his band of patriotic fighter pilots have fought tirelessly to reunite a fractured America, devastated by a Russian sneak attack. Now, returning from a mysterious space odyssey, Hunter finds a huge Russian army occupying New York City, ready to invade the rest of America. Buzzing through the city's skyscraper canyons in a tiny top-secret ghost plane, and seeing the invaders' massive weaponry for himself, Hawk realizes he's up against the greatest danger his homeland has ever faced. But equally alarming are reports claiming that Hawk's former girlfriend, Dominique, is living with the head of the Russian secret police in a Manhattan penthouse. Is she his prisoner, or is she something else? With the woman and the country he loves in dire peril, Hawk Hunter, the Wingman, will apply all his aviation prowess to launch the most crucial battle for America yet, no matter what the risks. Filled with fast-paced action, a wide range of aircraft and military hardware, Battle for America brings back your favorite characters from earlier books in the Wingman series and delivers a riveting story that reveals new insight on America's most famous hero, the Wingman. That's Wingman 18, The Battle for America. On sale now at Amazon.com and available at your local bookstore.
Hey, Juan-Juan, did you go to the beach a lot as a kid?
Yes, Mac, I sure did.
I have a feeling like as a youth you were like the 90-pound weakling and that the bullets used to kick sand in your face.
As a matter of fact, they did. I mean, I tried to pump iron back then, but I'd get pooped pretty quickly.
Oh my God, look at you two girly men.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. What are you doing here?
I'm here to make sure you read the ad copy for this fabulous new workout product called SEX that I can't endorse, but that I'm sure works wonderfully.
Hey Arnold, what was that thing with you and the maid?
Ugh, just do the ad.
Yeah, man, nailing the maid, that's a little fringy.
That's it. I'm going to turn you into 2 Vienna pretzels.
Cobra, save us!
I'd be glad to, gentlemen. What the boys are trying to say is, this is a new energy drink that can give you the extra endurance you need to get through your daily workout.
Yeah.
It's called SEX, for Strength Energy Accelerator. It comes easy to use. Just mix a scoop with water and drink 30 minutes before you start your workout, and you find you can last longer and feel all around better after finishing your regime.
Yeah.
The mix comes in many different flavors. Of course, my favorite is passion fruit.
Me too.
And it contains all the essentials you need to get over the top, whether you're trying to add muscle and bulk or just maintain your current physique.
You could look like me.
That's SEX, Workout Dietary Supplement, available only through Cadillo USA. Visit CadilloUSA.com for more details. That's CARDILLO USA.com and get some sex today.
Hey, what's going on in here?
Pistol Pete, what are you doing here?
I told you guys, no partying in the studio. What are all these dumbbells doing here?
Hey, just because you own this place doesn't mean you can call me a dumbbell.
Oh, yeah?
Kick his ass, Pete.
Come on, I'm right here.
SEX Workout Powder, available only through CadilloUSA.com. Read instructions carefully before using.
Welcome back, everyone, to Mack Maloney's Military Style Show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. This is Mack Maloney. You know, it's been a very interesting night because usually we introduce the posse at the beginning of the show, but we're going to do it at the end of the show because Skype chose this night, the night we were recording, to collapse. But they're back somehow. So let's just go right around the corner here, okay? The very famous Juan-Juan is here.
Yes, sir. Hi, Mac. How's it going?
Here. Okay.
Aside from Skype.
Right. You get the Vera Wang glasses on, I see. Okay. You have to be happy that Tommy Brady, won again, and Cobra was trying to spread some disinformation that he was hurt.
Well, he probably is hurt a little bit, but he doesn't make a big deal out of it.
Thank you, Juan-Juan. Thank you.
Oh, wow. He is hurt a little bit?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
We had an alternative theory that you wanted TB in your subconscious, want TB to be hurt.
No,
so
see, he
will
can be hurt. He can be hurt, but he can force his body to play through it, and he's taking the right nutrients to heal it as the game progresses.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, he had a week to heal up, so he played the Jets with maybe a little bit of pain, but
Yeah, Patriots are terrible against the spread, by the way. Also on the line with us, of course, is Coco. He looks like he's eating, what are you eating there? Brand checks?
Spirulina chips.
I have to get in a couple hours to go to work, so I'm having breakfast right now.
I hope you're not flying, are you?
I can't comment what I'm doing right now.
Must be undercover.
Stay on the ground, everyone, within the range of our voice. Anyway,
let's say I've got a full rocket load, and Skype is on my list.
Yeah. Okay. So,
New Yorkers know a good deal when they see one, like getting the best unlimited, hassle-free. Switch to Verizon Unlimited and get 4 lines for $40 per line per month with unlimited talk, text, mobile hotspot, and 4G LTE data. The deal you want? Easy as can be on New York's #1 network as awarded by Root Metrics. Unlimited for all. Now $40 per month. A value for a city like no other.
Sounds kind of filthy, but Switcherino.
He's going to strafe Skype headquarters, wherever they may be.
Yeah. Hope his name is true. Switcherino, how you doing there, pal?
Good, now that the gang is all here.
And speaking of the gang, it can't be a gang unless you have like some hot chick. And I'm sorry, Emily Minamia is also on the, every on TV, there's like 5 guys who don't know what they're doing, and they have a very attractive woman, and she's usually a blonde. Emily, can you fulfill that role for us?
I will try my best.
Wow. Okay. I like that. Okay. Thank you. So it's been a night with some reason Skype collapsed. I'm sure we'll find out about it tomorrow, but we kind of tap danced our way through. We asked Cobra tons of questions, and he came through magnificently there, Cobra. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. You still haven't answered what you're reading. Is it, tell us, is it M&M's or?
I just can't comment, Mac. I'm sorry.
All the faces. Anyway, switch. So, where were we?
Actually, I was bringing up. I gave you one of the questions that Emily had come up with for you, but I didn't come up with the second one. And the second one, Emily, maybe you want to ask it, is about the paranormal. Do you even remember?
So Emily, no pressure.
I'm failing already.
Yeah, this is a really good-looking, smart girl supposed to say that. Just a quick hint. This is
Emily had a question about if you were to have a paranormal experience, what type of paranormal experience would you like to have? That was we did the other one, which I can't remember what the other one was now anyway.
If he wasn't a writer.
That's right. If he wasn't a writer, what would you be doing?
And you threw him to the blades, and I had to save us from that one. So let's not go down that path again.
Okay, that's very complicated. But anyway, I'll tell you the strangest thing that ever happened to me, or one of the strangest things, was when I was a kid. I was probably like 10 years old, or maybe 11 or so. We lived in this old house in the Dorchester part of Boston. Okay, which the local people will know what that's like. Okay, it's kind of in the hood a little bit, and it was a very old house, and it was in our family. My grandfather lived there, my great grandfather lived there, so on and so forth. And one day we were just sitting there. It was a stormy day, and it's just my mother and I. Everyone else was out, and we heard voices talking in the attic. and it was just like very creepy, but very distinct voices talking in the attic, you know. So I don't know. I think I grabbed my grandfather's Knights of Columbus sword or something, up the stairs. And it was like that Twilight Zone we were talking about this switch a little while ago where you could hear voices in the wall or something.
Little girl lost.
Yeah. And it was like that.
Space. Yeah.
It was very strange. And as it turned out that my older brother had a small old reel-to-reel tape recorder. And for whatever reason, it just decided to kind of start turning again. And there was a conversation on it. But it took us like about 10 minutes to find it. And that was very strange. I mean, if
was it plugged in or battery operated? What was that?
It was battery operated. Yeah.
So Mack, this is the second time an electronic device has done this. This is like your little
the
Christmas
ballroom
ornament.
Thing. Yeah. The ballroom Christmas ornament. And when that was happening, before we figured out exactly what was going on, it was really strange. It was really what is this? Like there's voices inside the wall or something else. So, but that's it. I think I'm someone. I've never seen a UFO. I've never seen a ghost. I think that some people, we've talked about this before, Emily, is like some people are kind of drawn to that. Some people are kind of, I don't know, they're more receptive to something like that. And I am not like that.
Interesting.
It is interesting.
If you were to have another experience, what type would you want to have? Do you want to see a ghost, see a UFO?
I'd rather see UFO than ghost, yeah. I'd rather see UFO, sure.
Do you want to have it in either case? Would you like it to be a female alien, female ghost?
Oh, man. You know about that abduction in Brazil, Antonio Villas-Boas back in the 50s. Yeah, that was a little bit X-rated.
Yeah, women. Yeah, the Amazon alien thing there that he had going on.
Steve, can you switch? Can you explain that in 30 seconds? What do you mean X-rated? What do we mean?
A gentleman was supposedly abducted and on board a UFO and encouraged to have relations with a hot alien babe.
Wow, a hot alien babe.
Carl Lorenzen talked about it in their book, UFO Occupants, way back when. So.
There's a website dedicated to it, Mac, if you want to
sort of
as well.
Switch is laughing as if the story wasn't true, but
it's sort of an updated version of the succubus, actually. It kind of does connect.
Whoa! Flag on the play here. You just
no flag. You just
succubus out there without
the incubus, the succubus. Help me out here, Emily. Help.
He can't stop saying.
I'm staying out of this one.
Oh, come on.
Emily has never heard the word succubus, and she will not admit to knowing what that is. So let's move on.
Modern day UFO experiences and the past, folklore, and so forth.
Yeah, I don't think I'm allowed to look at those kind of websites. Sorry.
I know I'm not. Okay. Emily, what kind of you've had paranormal experiences before? What kind would you like or not like?
I think I would like. I think I'd like to see Bigfoot. That's something.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. There's a story there. We should welcome in Rob Beckhausen.
Perfect.
Calling in from Dallas.
Oh, yes. Hello.
Graveyard of presidents, et cetera, et cetera. How you doing there, Rob?
Hey, Rob, I'm pretty good at...
Rob, before you answer anything, what's your shoe size? I got you on ears last week. Shoe size this week, please, sir.
11.5.
Thank you.
Over racist, but go ahead, please.
Yeah. So, by the way, Mac, I agree. I would much prefer UFOs to ghosts. So the horror movies, they freak me out. Ghosts, no good.
I know people who have seen UFOs. I don't know anyone who's seen a ghost.
Well, me.
I have. I have not seen one, but I've met somebody who professes to have seen a ghost. But now, that being said, what's up?
Okay, well, seeing as this is a truncated show, is that the right word?
Yeah, I'm kind of swooping in at the last minute, I think, after my Skype restored itself. So yes.
Skype, disaster. Right. So all you can tell us is how is Puddles?
He's good. Yeah. That's all. Yeah, that's all I got. He runs out the door now when I leave.
Really?
So
Emily, stay out at night. Puddles is Rob's cat. We should do this as a thumbnail. Is almost a year ago, Rob was having someone doing his dishes for him, but now the dishwasher has gone away. He has got a cat that he got on Craigslist, which is really kind of weird. And he's watching Loveline at 2 a.m. Is that the thumbnail there, Robbie?
Well, I did do that. I'm not currently doing that with the late night radio business. No. I mean, other than this is my one radio gig. So.
Your one guilty pleasure right here.
It's good. We have an expert in the house here. Emily,
yes.
What would you think if you met some guy at a bar and he said, "Oh, what have you been doing lately?" Well, I got a
the coffee shop. Or the coffee shop.
A coffee shop.
Or the laundromat.
Okay. And he said, "Well, I got a cat recently, and up until lately, I've been watching Loveline at 2 a.m." Would you be attracted to him? That's a no.
I like the part about the cat.
Oh, you do?
Oh, perfect.
Oh, Robbie.
Yeah, Emily's a cat lover.
I am. I'm a cat lady.
Wow.
I don't know about Loveline though.
So I'm halfway there. Yeah.
Really? Listen,
Emily, where are you at?
Where are you at? Yeah. And how far are you from Dallas?
Dallas. Yeah.
I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Yeah, it's not
Rob.
Yeah,
Rob, if you got in a car right now with puddles.
Not that far. Okay. Southwest would get you there in like 4 or 5 touchdowns, right? How far away is Cincinnati from Dallas? Really, I'm serious. It's only like about 100 miles, right?
Cobra? That sounds like a 15-hour drive or something at the least. It sounds like.
Who'd fly you?
I drove to Chicago once. I've never made the.
That's close.
Made the drive.
Well, okay. So Emily, just getting back to you. So
Southwest Airlines has a $19 special right now. If I can book it for Rob right now, I'm not sure about the cat. $49 2-day airfare sale right now, Cincinnati, Dallas. So they're just working up.
Very kind of you to make it to offer it. Yeah.
No, it's 2 days. It's 2 days that the sale is on, Mac. Not it doesn't take 2 days to get there.
Emmy, I'm going to throw
with
this
friends like this. Is there any wonder this kid is having the kind of success he's having with this kind of friends management going?
I've got a problem. I'm afraid of airplanes. I'm afraid of flying.
So am I. Yeah, I hate that.
Yeah, it's got to be a train.
All right, I have some extra miles and gold points left. Hold on, let me check what I've got.
Emily, you fly a lot, correct, Emily?
I do.
You don't mind? You like flying? Do you like it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just don't like being stuck in the window seat when you have to go to the bathroom.
Oh wow!
But other than that,
a little.
That is a problem.
That's okay. Somehow we understand that. Have you been to Dallas recently? Do you fly to Dallas?
I don't.
Oh wow! What's the closest you fly to Dallas? Because I know you have some really high-powered job, right?
Well, I don't know if I'd say high-powered, but I go to California a lot.
Wow. Okay. All right. Cobra, let's see if we can work this out. Okay, I can see you noodling there.
Yeah, I'm just checking Hertz to see what I've got for extra gold points for Rob if he wants to take a drive.
No, we only have a few minutes left, and if I'm crossing my boundaries, Juan-Juan, you have to tell me, okay?
Oh, I'll bail you out, sure.
We referred to you earlier as my binky. I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
We'll find out, okay? Emily, if there was some situation where you found yourself in Dallas, would you allow Rob to buy you a coffee at a Starbucks?
Sure, why not?
Oh, Jesus Christmas.
There we go.
But
want to go back to Loveline there,
Rob, this first base right there.
To be fair,
thanks.
I would let anyone buy me a coffee at Starbucks.
Yeah, that sounds like a bunt that was a third strike bunt. Wait a minute, Emily, wait, you don't like Starbucks? Is that the holdup?
What's that?
Is that the holdup? You don't like Starbucks? Would you like to go to a steakhouse, a nice steakhouse?
Oh, no, I do like Starbucks.
You do? Okay, so it's Rob.
I would accept free coffee from anyone.
You would or would not?
I would.
She would.
Okay, all right. So we're good here, right?
Yeah.
We're still on the rails.
Where more information is not really helping the image that we.
She is an equal opportunity Starbucks coffee drinker.
Right. That's true.
Cobra paying for it?
Yeah,
I will take care of it right now.
That's true. Whenever we're out and about, Point Pleasant or whatever, one of our paranormal excursions, every once in a while, Emily disappears. She comes back with a coffee to go. That's absolutely true.
Yeah, you're addicted. Yeah. Okay, that's good. That's kind of hot in a way. So, so you, Rob, at a Starbucks, it could happen if we were able to connect the dots, right?
Are you asking? Who are you asking?
You, Rob.
It wasn't clear who you were asking, Mac.
Well, okay, Emily, what would you say that? Cup of coffee?
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah.
Well, Emily,
sounds like a very nice.
I will always drink coffee.
Really? How about if Rob brought his cat to the Starbucks? Would that be a turnout for you in a general sense?
Oh, I might take the cat home with me.
Oh, boy. All right.
But not Rob.
Cobra, do you see what I see?
Take the cat, leave the Rob.
Let's take the cat home. Can I have this cat? Okay. All right, let's work on this. Okay, let's all combine our miles and see what happens. Would you both agree to wear GoPros if this happened?
No.
No? Okay.
No, GoPros are out. Yeah.
Emily?
That's a bridge.
I don't even know what that is.
We'll take care of
it. He would
yes.
like photographic evidence, recorded evidence of this gathering. So say no. Say no. Just say no.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cobra. That's
Thank
one
God.
entire show. Well, anyway, hey, listen, love is all around, right? Love is all around. We might maybe be able to make this happen, right?
We
This
feel
is
it
where
on
you
his
guys
fingers,
jump
we feel
in.
it on his
That's
toes.
up to y'all. Y'all are putting up the dough here. So
Yeah, the money is no object here. Juan-Juan is a very rich man, and he takes care of these
I'll
things.
send him a Starbucks rewards card.
There you go. Switch, what do you think about this? Is this...
What about, well, when you said love is all around, I thought the three of you were going to throw your hats in the air. Get the reference? Maybe not.
Yeah, I got completely got the reference.
Okay,
Completely got the reference.
You got the reference. It just wasn't that funny. Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, welcome to the show.
You hot shots pop in for the last 20 minutes of the show, and we're supposed to just be rolling on the floor.
This is it.
Well, you know what?
Dancing on my head.
Believe me, we've been doing push-ups here for an hour and a half. So, hey, listen, if I could bring in our anonymous producer, does anyone have any idea how much time we have left? Anonymous producer, do
hold
you?
on 1 second. I can tell you, sir. We have a clock running. We are 2 minutes over.
2 minutes over. Okay. So it's
you got
time to
plenty
say goodbye to everyone. Emily, thank you very much for joining us. Sorry about the screw-up Skype, but we will talk to you next week about your scary encounters down at Point Pleasant, West Virginia, right?
Sounds good.
There she goes. All right, the class of the show, Emily Mittenmeyer.
Emily, thank you.
Good night, Emily. Thanks.
Talk to you later, Emily.
Guys.
Switcherino, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
A screwed up night, okay? And
Switch, do you have
talk
any
to
pictures of Emily?
What's that?
We're
Any
doing a
pictures of
Halloween
Emily?
show. Juan-Juan is trying to say something. Go ahead, Juan. Please, JJ.
Do you have any pictures of Emily?
See, that's
Yes, I have many that I posted on Mack's timeline on
Mack
Facebook.
has nothing to do with this. Okay.
All right.
What more do you have to know?
Just curious.
There you go. Yeah, add it to the collection then, Juan-Juan. Steve, thanks for joining us. Sorry for the screwed up night.
All right. Thanks, guys.
We'll
And I'll talk to you next week.
There he goes.
Right.
He's the best. Switcherino.
Bye, Switch.
1-1, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Good to see you.
I thought it
In the
would
pain.
never happen tonight, but
Okay. All right. Everything
good.
okay with you?
Yep,
Okay. Super duper.
for the most
Yeah,
part.
everything's okay with the world. Cobra is yawning. He must be bored. Thank you, there, Coco. It's been a strange night. Luckily, he's doing the Batman dance now, so he must be really having. The good thing about Coco is that he's such a wealth of knowledge that we were able to kind of vamp for an hour and a half here.
Oh, good. It was
Just
just
on his-
two of you guys, right?
Thank you, Coco.
Oh, my pleasure as always, gentlemen. My pleasure. Glad already made it.
We'll see you on Saturday.
Yes,
Okay.
you will.
All right, and 1-1, thank you for finally joining us.
You're
So,
welcome.
a very interesting edition of the Mack Maloney's Military Style Show. The night that Skype fell down, destroyed, crashed. The night that Skype crashed, and we saved it. So, listen to us next week, or please try to catch us next week.
Keep those emails coming.
Yeah, keep the emails coming. We've got a lot of emails, and we've hired someone.
Got some good ones this week.
1-1, you missed this. We've got so many that we've hired a director of security. We now have a bodyguard who goes through our email
Mainly for you.
Nothing bad is in there.
Mainly for you.
90% of the email, Juan-Juan, is addressed to you.
Okay?
And half of that is addressed by either women or people trying to pretend they're women, which is almost as good. All right. So, now we have to have someone scan it because of your popularity.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, there you go. Well, it's the price of fame there, my friend. So thank you, and thank everyone for listening to us tonight. Thanks for staying with us. Very strange show. Next week, we'll be back a little bit back on the beam, okay? So until then, this is Mack Maloney for the Cobra, for JJ, and for the rest of the guests saying until next week, be safe, be happy, and...
Bye-bye.
Only AT&T offers unlimited data with HBO included. And you never pay overages. Plus, get DirecTV Now for only $10 a month. It's entertainment your way. After 22 gigabytes of data usage, AT&T may slow speeds. Plan includes Stream Saver and videos will stream in standard definition unless you turn it off. Credits start within 3 bill cycles. $10 price based on $35 Live a Little package minus $25 credit. Service prices subject to change. Other usage, speed, and restrictions apply. Visit your nearest AT&T store.